Imagine the world as it was for hundreds of thousands of years. Quiet, still, unhurried. This is where your story began. Before the invention of the second, the minute, or the hour, we lived by the only clock that mattered, the rising and setting of the sun. In this world, work didn't exist as a concept. There were no jobs, no bosses, and no resumes. There was only life. Fast forward to today. We've optimized every second. We've turned time into a currency. And in the process, we've forgotten how to spend it. You will spend roughly 90,000 hours of your life at a job. For most of us, it's the primary way we define who we are. Modern cityscapes consume our time and space. In the 1960s, Richard Lee traveled to the Kalahari to live with the Jew/hoansi. He went looking for a struggle for survival. He found a vacation. They worked just 15 to 20 hours a week. The rest of their time was spent in a state of active leisure, socializing, dancing, and resting. And they weren't struggling. They ate better and more diversely than the peasants of medieval Europe or the office workers of today. The bones don't lie. Hunter-gatherers were taller and more robust. They didn't have the stress-related diseases that plague us now. Leisure is where culture is born. In Chauvet cave, we found art so advanced it challenges everything we thought about primitive man. Their work was more like a highly skilled sport. It required deep knowledge of the land, the weather, and the psyche of animals. When survival is easy, you have time for the useless. Like these ostrich eggshell beads. Each one took hours to shape and drill. They weren't tools. They didn't help you hunt. They were symbols of status, beauty, and the simple fact that someone had the time to care. 40,000 years ago, someone in a German cave carved a flute from a bird's bone. They understood pitch, melody, and harmony. This tells us that music isn't a modern luxury. It's a fundamental human need that only flourishes when we aren't exhausted by labor. In many cultures, grooming, picking through hair, braiding, and cleaning is a primary social activity. It's the original team building. Anthropologists call it social grooming. We spent hours every day just talking, sharing stories, jokes, and gossip that kept the group together. When the sun went down, the stories began. This is where mythology, religion, and the human imagination were truly forged. And then there was sleep. We didn't do it in one 8-hour block. We did it in 2 phases with a watchful hour in the middle. This midnight hour was for quiet thought, for sex, or for visiting neighbors. It was a time when the world was yours alone. But then, 10,000 years ago, we fell into a trap. We started planting. We traded the freedom of the forest for the security of the field. Our relationship with space and time collapsed. We were no longer travelers. We were prisoners of the soil and the seasons. Agriculture created surplus. Surplus created population growth, and more people meant we could never go back to hunting. For the first time, some people had a lot, while others had nothing. To eat, you had to work for the people who owned the land. As society grew, we needed to coordinate. Time became something that could be measured, managed, and eventually stolen. Then came a new kind of morality, the Protestant work ethic. For the first time, busyness was seen as a sign of divine favor. Idleness became a sin. We were told that the devil finds work for idle hands, and we began to internalize our own exhaustion. The Industrial Revolution was the final blow to human leisure. We were no longer tied to the sun, we were tied to the steam engine. 12-hour shifts became the norm. Even children were put to work. Time was no longer for living, it was for producing. The whistle became the master. It told you when to start, when to eat, and when you were allowed to go home. Your life was now synchronized. It took decades of struggle, strikes, protests, and even blood to win back the 8-hour day. But even that is now slipping away. Henry Ford popularized the 5-day week, not out of kindness, but to give his workers time to spend their wages on his cars. For a brief moment in the 20th century, we thought we had found the balance. But the digital revolution was just around the corner. Today, the factory has followed us home. Our phones ensure that work can find us at any hour, in any place, even in our beds. We are the always-on generation. We've optimized our lives so much that we've removed the very thing that makes us human, idle time. Burnout isn't just exhaustion, it's a spiritual crisis. It's what happens when you spend your life fulfilling someone else's goals. We feel guilty for resting. We call it unproductive. But rest is not a reward for work, it is a fundamental human right. Efficiency is an illusion. The faster we work, the more work we are given. We are running to stay in the same place. We've even lost our connection to the seasons. We expect the same level of productivity in December as we do in June. We've become artificial. When we lose our internal clock, we lose our sense of self. We begin to see ourselves as biological machines, constantly in need of an upgrade. We've been taught that success is a destination, a pile of wealth at the end of a long, exhausting road. But what if the road is the point? The most valuable thing you have is not your bank account, it's your presence, your ability to be here, now, without an agenda. As AI and robotics take over the labor we never wanted to do, we face a choice. Do we find new ways to be busy, or do we reclaim our time? Imagine a world where your survival is guaranteed, and your time is yours to spend on art, craft, and community. This isn't a dream, it's a return. We are seeing a return to craft, people choosing to do things the hard way because the process brings them joy. This is leisure. When you do something for the sake of the thing itself, you are practicing the oldest and most vital human tradition. There is external time, the time of the world and the machine, and there is internal time, the time of the heart and the breath. Which one are you living in? The most revolutionary thing you can do in a world that demands your attention is to stop, to pause, to simply exist without purpose. The Jews/hoansi don't have a word for vacation because their whole life is a balance of effort and ease. They are never truly at work. They remind us that the affluent society isn't about how much you produce, but how much of yourself you get to keep. We've become afraid of boredom. We fill every gap with noise, but boredom is the fertile soil where creativity begins to grow. If you never let your mind wander, it will never find a new path. Reclaim your right to be bored. Reclaim your right to wonder. We've traded deep conversation for quick updates, but it's in the long, rambling talks that we truly connect with each other. Listening is an act of leisure. It requires you to set aside your own agenda and simply be with another human being. It's a gift of time. We need sacred time, time that is set apart from the mundane world of production and consumption. Rituals help us find it. When we step into ritual, we step out of linear time. We connect with something timeless and much larger than ourselves. In these 12 minutes, we've traveled 300,000 years. We've seen how we traded our time for a system that doesn't always serve us. But the system is not your master. Your time is a gift. It is the only thing you truly own. How will you spend the next hour? We are not machines. We were never meant to be efficient. We were meant to be curious, social, and free. Reclaim your pace. Reclaim your community. Reclaim your life. Because in the end, the work will fade, but the moments will remain. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. When we step into the natural world, we remember our true pace. The ocean doesn't have a deadline. The forest doesn't have a quarterly goal. They just exist. And so should you. Notice the small things. The way the light hits a leaf, the sound of the wind. These are the moments that make a life. Observation is a form of leisure. It's the act of being truly present with the world as it is, not as you want it to be. Don't wait for permission to rest. Create your own sanctuary of time. Build a life that you don't need a vacation from. Your identity is not your output. Your value is not your productivity. You are more than what you do for a living. We carry their blood. We carry their curiosity. And deep inside, we still carry their pace. It's time to listen to it once more. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, take a moment. Just one. Before the world rushes in, remember who you are beyond the work. Go back to the beginning. Go back to being human. The sun is setting and the day is yours. What will you do with it? Thank you for watching. Take a breath. Take your time. Inspired by 300,000 years of human history. Special thanks to the Jew/hoansi people of Botswana.